Ha'olam ubeis sefer le'emunah. It's actually a very beautiful statement. This world is like a beis sefer, like a school for emunah. Kol tachlis chai ha'adam ishi yomad emunah. The entire tachlis of a man's life is that he learns proper emunah. V'chol ha'mikrim shekorim la'adam b'chai ha'yom yom himivchanim be'emunah. And all of the events that occur to us day in and day out are in some way tests of our emunah. That Navi dugmaos mimikrim shlichim. In this particular chapter, we'll bring multiple contemporary or common examples. Sha'amnam nirim mikriim v'tiviyim. That at first glance will look normal and ordinary. Aval be'emes him bo'im alinu b'hashgacha malea leprate prateha b'shel mivchan ha'emunah. But in reality, the ordinary everyday events are in fact manifestations of divine hashgacha, divine providence, that are filled with many nuanced details in order to test our emunah, in order to figure out where our emunah is holding. V'nilmad be'ezras Hashem, and we will try be'ezras Hashem to figure out how to pass these tests b'tziyun tov. Ultimately, again, with good grades, right? In a good standing. Hatziyun mevateas hamadrega shel ha'adam be'emunah. Now, this is really going to actually be very beautiful. Because we're going to see a number of just simple examples in which the Mechaber is going to demonstrate how these different events that at first glance appear ordinary every day, but we will see, in fact, are incredible tests, or could be incredible tests of one's emunah. Atzur batzad. So listen to this. Adam shene'etzar al yidei shoter tenua. A person is pulled over by a traffic cop. Bein b'tzedek, bein shelo b'tzedek. Whether you were pulled over justly or unjustly. Of course, it's always unjustly. Right? But a person was pulled over. Right? The person was pulled over. This is amazing. I'm pulled over. The officer is about to ticket me. I find myself in the midst of a test of emunah. And the truth is, we have the ability to perceive this situation and to deal with this situation through three different frameworks of emunah, three different frameworks that we've learned up until this time. Aleph, Yamin, Shekach Hashem Rotzeh. So the first thing is to recognize, a person should believe that this is what Hashem wants. Umamela, meaning that, remember, this is just going through the three levels of emunah that we've dealt. This is taking the three levels of emunah that we have studied up until this point, plugging it into what appears to be a relatively simple life situation, but ultimately showing how when you approach the simple life situation with the three levels of emunah, that simple life situation becomes more than just a simple life situation. It becomes an opportunity and a catalyst for building and for forging one's emunah. So the first thing, remember again, what was the first level of emunah? The first level of emunah was that everything that happens is the Ratzon Hashem. Everything that happens is the will of God. So the first thing when I pulled over, I say, this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And therefore, it doesn't pay to invest one's energies into blaming anyone. To blaming anyone, lo es atzmo, don't blame yourself. For lo es hanag hasheni, shebiglalo, hu nikla la'avera satinazos. Don't blame the other driver, right, whoever it is. O es ishto, don't blame your wife. Shelachatza oso lahagia maher chadomer, who is telling you we're late, and that was your excuse for speeding. Don't blame the officer who's pulling you over. B'tzedek o lo b'tzedek, whether you feel he's justified, not justified. Ki gam im atzru oso shelo b'tzedek, al pi ha'klolim, u'lefi ha'chukim shel ha'olam hazeh. Because let's say the officer was wrong. Let's say really he shouldn't have pulled you over. He shouldn't have pulled you over, right? You really weren't doing anything wrong. Al pi ha'klolim v'ha'chukim shel Hashem, hakol b'vadai b'tzedek. Because if you believe that everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, therefore by definition everything is just. So we'll say, so first of all, I have to tell you something. Out of all the things that we've learned in the Sefer, I find this paragraph to be the hardest, right? To go ahead and get pulled over for a traffic stop and not to blame anyone, right? Not to blame anyone seems to be a bit. I should understand what the Mechaber is saying over here. The Mechaber is saying that success in life is reframing your circumstances. So if when the particular situation, okay, we're just going to go with the traffic stop because that's it. If when the traffic stop occurs, the way my mind is working is whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Then by definition, I've lost the opportunity to grow from this circumstance. So therefore, the Mechaber says, instead of using your energy figuring out who to blame, and he's talking about like even blaming yourself. I want to be, instead of using energy who to blame, first step is, this is obviously the Ratzon HaBorei. This is obviously the Ratzon of Hashem. I will say, to be clear, we spoke about this when we learned this section earlier. Just because I'm saying it's the will of God does not free individuals from personal responsibility or liability, meaning if I was speeding and that's why I got pulled over, so the mice at the end of the day, there absolutely will be personal responsibility for that. There's no shayla. But in terms of what I get from this circumstance, how I grow from this circumstance, the Mechaber says, piece number one in my own personal maturation, ultimately again, this is the Ratzon Hashem. This is it's tzedek, it's good, it's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Base. What's the second? I was saying this is all happening as I'm pulled over in the shoulder of the highway. This whole spiritual theological experience is happening while I'm waiting for the officer to write up the ticket. Base. Yamin Shakol Tova. That all is for good. Sheperusha, so what does this mean? Sheyashlich es haseichel. Person has to throw away sometimes his seichel. Person has to throw away the intellect, and again, just simply cultivate a simple yet profound and meaningful sense of emunah. That I believe that ultimately all of this is good. All of this is good. Yis'alem mimasha seichel mevin v'koveah. Sometimes a person has to go ahead because it will say, you understand, if the seichel kicks in, the seichel stares the first part, because the seichel says, "Oh, come on, do not bring God into this. You were speeding. That's why you got pulled over. Or don't bring God into this. You're having an argument with your wife, and she was telling you that you're late, so you accelerated. Don't. This has nothing to do with the Ribbon Shalom. That's why letter base comes along and says, you have to believe that Hakol is V'tova. A, I have to believe that all of this is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B, I have to believe that somehow, some way, it's all for good. And the Mechaber acknowledges that sometimes my seichel will not let me get to this point. So what do you do when there's something you need to believe, but your seichel prevents you from believing it? What do? You throw away your seichel. You throw away the seichel. Shiyash lechas ha-seichel. Yis'alim mima she'ha-seichel mevin v'koveah shema shekora lo tov. And go ahead and throw away the seichel, because the seichel will try to convince him that what is occurring is not good. The yismach v'yodel Hashem. Person should be happy, should give thanks to God. Sheshalach lo es hashoter hazeh. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for sending me this police officer. Shebevadai nisteres kan Yeshua shila tavas hanitzchis. Somehow in this circumstance is some type of Yeshua, is some type of salvation that is kulo good, that's kulo tov, that's absolutely good. So step number 2, therefore, is believing that Hakol Tova. Gimel, turn the page Kuf Chav Vav. Gimel, Yamin Shelachol Davar Yesh Siba V'Tachlis. Person has to believe there is a Siba, there is a reason, and there is a Tachlis, there is a purpose. So again, remember, all we're doing now, I just want to be clear, is we're just taking the 3 levels of Amunah that we have studied up until this point and just plugging it into a quote-unquote simple, real-life example. So Yamin, Shalachol Davar Yesh Siba V'Tachlis. Person has to believe that for everything, there is a Siba, there is a reason, V'Tachlis, there is a purpose. V'She'ein Yisurim Lelo Aval. And what this means is, we spoke about this concept extensively, literally translated, there is no suffering without sin, but the way we translated that was that there is no such thing as a setback without a lesson. Everything that occurs, everything that happens to me is Ribbon Shalom's way of dispatching a message to me. There's something for me to learn. There's some way for me to grow. Either that there's a deficiency that God is pointing out that I need to fix. Maybe sometimes there is a sin that needs to be remedied. Or maybe sometimes I'm just underperforming and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming along and saying, you need to go ahead and change this. You need to address this. You need to enhance this. He goes on, V'shoter zeh hurak makel shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I will say, this police officer, all he is the staff of God. Shenishloach la'ororo b'tshuva al Eze Pegam o al Avam. And he is sent ultimately again to awaken me with tshuva for some particular sin or some particular misdeed. Ki af al pi sheyesh hasiba hativis shebishvila atzro. So even I will say again, you don't exactly need to fast and say Sefer Tehillim to figure out why the officer pulled you over. He pulled me over because I was speeding, right? It doesn't have to be a deep esoteric reason. Nevertheless, this is a shesiba shegulgula mishamayim lifima shenigza alav bezdin shalmala. But yet again, there's some type of reason for this from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in accordance with some type of gzardin, some type of decree from above. Lochein yifashfesh b'ma'asov. Therefore, a person should introspect. V'yachapes alma ze lo. And ask myself, why did this occur? Why did this occur? What is the deeper message that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is trying to convey to me? What's the deeper idea that is being expressed? What is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach me? And as a result, I will say a person adjusts ultimately again the way he's living, what he's doing, how he's thinking. So we'll stop over here for today. But I will say, just understand what the Mechaber ultimately is highlighting for us is taking the three different constructs of Emunah and just showing us, giving a simple real life example, showing us how to plug that in. That when something happens, the Jew has a three-pronged response. Right? Piece number one is believe that this is the Ratzon Hashem. At the end of the day, again, it doesn't free me from personal responsibility. I still have my particular liability in all this, but this is the Ratzon Hashem. That's number one. Number two, Hakol L'Tova. Everything is for good. And number three, ultimately, that there is a message in this from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If I go ahead and I look for these three pieces in every single life event, then by definition, adversity, and I'm using that word in a very broad way. Adversity meaning any circumstances not of our choosing ultimately become that springboard and that platform for personal growth. We'll stop over. We'll say we'll continue. There's no shir tomorrow in the morning, but we'll continue Meretz Hashem on Wednesday morning. All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin. So today's daf is Tesvav 15. We are picking up Yud Dalet Amud Beis 14b at the two daf. We have a lot to do today. It's 2, 4, 6, 8 lines up from the bottom on 14b Yud Dalet Amud Beis. Hekdeshos b'shlosha. So we'll say our learning is dedicated to Ilim Nishmas Eliezer ben Klonos. We hope that on the merit of our Talmud Torah Hashem will have an aliyah in the family in the Chama. Hekdeshos b'shloshos. Remember again, hekdeshos. If one wants to redeem something that is consecrated, so one requires a beis din of 3 to redeem it. To which the Gemara says, "Mas nisim delo ki haytana." Our Mishnah does not reflect the view of the following time. The sign Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, "Afilu tzinora shel hekdesh tzricha asar bnei adam liftosa." Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, "Tzinora shel hekdesh" means like even a needle that's used for spinning requires 10 people to redeem it. In other words, he's giving an example, something that is very small. Even something very small and at first glance seemingly insignificant requires 10 people in order to redeem it. That doesn't reflect the view of our Mishnah, because our Mishnah seems to indicate that even 3 have the ability to redeem it. So Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov holds like Shmuel, Damar Shmuel, Asara Kohanim Ksuvim B'Parsha. So we'll say, where does 10 come from? Because according to Shmuel, so Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov holds like Shmuel. Shmuel says that the word Kohen is written 10 times in the parashos concerning redemption of consecrated items. Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Asara Kohanim Ksuvim B'Pinyon Hekdeshos. Shlosha B'Parshas Erechin Shivishona. There are 3 times that Kohen is written in the parsha of Erechin, Erech vows, which we'll discuss in just a little bit. Shlosha B'Pinyon Behema, 3 times in the section of redemption of animals. Va'arba B'Karkos, and 4 times when it comes to the redemption of land, of Karka. So because Kohen is written 10 times, therefore we learn that you need 10 people in order to go ahead and redeem anything that is consecrated. El Rabbanon, Shlosha Minavu. But where did the Rabbanon know that you only require 3? So v'chitema dechsev b'hu shlosha. So maybe you'll say that at the end of the day, it says Kohen 3 times in the section of Erechin. Karkos dechsev b'hu arba tiski barba. If that's the case, then redemption of land, in which we'll say in that section Kohen is mentioned 4 times. So you should only require 4 people in order to effect redemption of consecrated land. V'chitema hachinam. Maybe you'll say yes, that indeed should be true. If that's the case, alama tanan, why does it say hakarkos tisha v'kohen? Why does it say for redemption of land you require 10 people, 9 of whom could be Yisraelim, but 1 of whom must be a kohen? Elamai demishalmi muhu asara hekdeshos. So the Gemara says Elamai demishalmi muhu asara hekdeshos. So the Gemara says because it must be that since the section of the section ends with 10 mentions, meaning it closes out the section of hekdeshos and ends with 10. Therefore, Allah Lamaisi required 10 people to redeem it. If that's the case, the Mishamibu Shisa, Libo Shisa. If that's the case, and at the end of the day, the section that has 6 mentions, or that completes 6 mentions, should require ultimately 6 people for redemption. To which the Gemara says, Kasha. You're right, the Gemara says that is a good question. Nevertheless, the bottom line remains the same, that redemption of hektish, redemption of consecrated property, requires a beis din of 3. The purpose of that beis din, remember, in many of these cases, ultimately is for valuation purposes, to make sure that at the end of the day we are valuating the item appropriately. Says the Gemara ha'erchin. So remember again, erech vows. So the Mishnah said that erchin, and we'll discuss exactly what this case is, but erchin are dealt with by a beis din of 3. Rabbi Huda says that one of them has to be a kohen. So says the Gemara erchin, my erchin hamatalton. The lashon of the Mishnah was erchin hamatalton, the erech vow of movable property. I both say now understand that statement, as we're going to see in just a moment, doesn't make sense. Why? Erchin refers to a very specific type of vow where a person pledges his value to the Beis HaMikdash. Respect, the Torah gives very specific amounts depending on your age and gender. So a male between the ages of 20 and 40 will be X, 40 and 60 will be Y. So what does it mean, Erech and Hamatalpulim? What does it mean again when we say that the Erech of movable property? My Erech and Hamatalpulim. What does this mean, Erech and Hamatalpulim? Look at Rashi. Last Rashi on the daf, Erech. Lo shayach gabi kelim ela ba'adam. V'no saint lefi shanav kimoshe kasa b'parsha. So I'll say there is no such thing as an erech vow by metalpulin. Erechin is a din ultimately in Adam, and it's dependent on a person's age and gender. So what does it mean erechin hamatalpulin? Says the Gemara, Amarav Gida Amarav v'omer erech alai. V'omer erech kli ze alai. What's the case? Says Rav Gidol. Rav Gidol says the situation is where a person says the value of this kli is upon me. This kli is upon me. The Amar of Gidol Amarav, because Rav Gidol is the name of Rav. We'll say top of Tes Vav Aleph. Homer erech kli ze alai. No saying damav. If a person says the erech of this kli, the value of this kli is upon me, so he gives the value of the kli. They both say, understand that statement is inherently nonsensical. Because erech, again, as we said, refers to a specific type of vow where a person pledges his own personal value. You can't give the erech of a kli. Yet Rav Gidol says that if a person says erech kli ze alai, you give the value of the kli. My timer, Adam yodeh shein erech likli. Person knows that there is no such thing as an erech value of a kli. So what's the meaning of it? Saying the Gemara ba'amar l'shum damim. So both say, so therefore again, it's actually interesting. Rav Gidol's position assumes that people don't say things without meaning. People don't say things without meaning. And that's a huge assumption, but that's the assumption that he makes. People don't say things without meaning. As such, if I make a statement that halachically is nonsensical, we interpret it in a way that makes sense. So if I say erech kli zalai, the erech of this kli is upon me, Shavkilo says we know what that means. What that means is you're pledging the value of that kli to the Beis Hamikdash. Excuse me, you're pledging the value of that kli. Person knows that there is no erech value of a kli. Therefore, what he really means is to pledge the actual value of the utensil, and therefore, again, he's committed for that value. So if that's the case, says the Gemara, "Hi erchin hamataltlin, erchin shel metaltlin mibayim." If that's the case, why does the Mishnah call that erchin hamataltlin, which literally sounds like movable erchin? It should say what? The erech value of metaltlin. To which the Gemara says, "Tani erchin shel metaltlin." To which the Gemara, according to Rav Gidl, says, "Einach hinami." Change the girsa of the Mishnah. Change the wording of the Mishnah, and it should read erchin shel metaltlin. It should read ultimately again as the erech value of movable property. So understand, where everyone's dedicated to one singular goal over here, which is to try to figure out that meaning of that phrase, erchin metaltlin, which literally means movable erchin. We're dealing with the issue that statement inherently does not make sense because there's no such thing as an erech value of metaltlin. Erchin is only about people. So Rav Chisda now advances another possibility. Rav Chisda Amar, the Gemara says, Rav Chisda Amar Avini. So b'matbis metaltlin le'erchin. So it says Rav Chisda an interesting idea. Now what's the case over here? Where a person look at Rashi, b'matbis metaltlin le'erko. Rashi is different, different girsa. Last white line on top of Rashi. Shomer erki alai v'nischayev erech hakotzov lefi shanav v'hayelo metaltlin v'amar hare elu le'erki v'chala aleim kidusha u'balif dosan. So what's the case over here? The case according to the Chisda is I said erki alai. Hereby pledge my value to the Beis Hamikdash, but I hereby designate those utensils to be the payment to the Beis Hamikdash for my value. So I take the erech vow and I go and I take the value and I put that value upon the kelim. Those kelim now become pledged to the Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, the Mishnah teaches me that if I want to redeem them from the Beis Hamikdash, I need what? I need a beis din of 3 to make sure that the valuation is done appropriately. To which the Gemara says, if that's the case, hi erchin hamataltlin, metaltlin shel erchin liboile. If that's the case, then why does the Mishnah call that erchin hamataltlin? It should call it metaltlin shel erchin. It should call it the movable property of erchin. To which the Gemara says, you're right, einach inami tani metaltlin shel erchin. Change the girsa of the Mishnah to read metaltlin shel erchin. Fine. Rabbi Avo has another approach. He says, ba'omer erki alai. Where I made an erech vow. And I said, erki alai, my value is upon me. I make an erech vow. So I'll say, so what happens? I make an erech vow. And what ended up happening is I did not pay my vow. So who comes knocking at my door? Right. The Kohen. And the Kohen comes to collect taltlin, comes to collect movable property. So we'll say, what's the halacha? If a Kohen comes to collect movable property in fulfillment of my erech vow, what's the halacha? Bishlosha. The halacha is that he has to convene a beis din of 3 to make sure that the valuation of the metaltlin is appropriate. Karkos ba'asara. If he's coming to collect land, then ultimately that beis din must be comprised of 10 people to make sure that the valuation is appropriate. So bishlama lafuke mehektish ba'inan shlosha ela leiluye lehektish shlosha lamali. So I don't understand something. I understand that I'm coming to redeem a property from hektish. I need a beis din of 3 in order to make sure that what? That I don't underestimate it, thereby depriving the Beis Hamikdash of money. But if we're talking about over here a case where the Beis Hamikdash, the Kohen, is coming to seize assets from me for the Beis Hamikdash in satisfaction of my erech vow, so why do we need a beis din? Amarlei svarhu. So the Gemara says it's a svara. Mali iyuli, mali afuke. What does it matter if property is going into the Beis Hamikdash or property is coming out of the Beis Hamikdash? My taima dilmatoi iyule nami dilmatoi. We'll say this Gemara says the same way that when I am redeeming property from the Beis Hamikdash, we need a beis din of 3 to make sure that I don't make a mistake regarding the valuation. That concern is not just true when I'm redeeming something. That concern is true when property is being seized, given to the Beis Hamikdash in satisfaction of a vow that I have made. We also have to make sure that what? that I do not make a mistake in the valuation. Good. So says the Gemara. Rabbi Huda says. So also remember again, Rabbi Huda in the Mishnah said. Rabbi Huda said that when you have Erech and Hamatalpulin, Echad Mehem Kohen, that one of the three has to be a Kohen. And Rabbi Huda says the same thing in the next case as well. That when it comes to karka, when it comes to karka, you need 10 people for redemption. 9 Israelim, one of them a Kohen. So Gemara says, Amli Rav Papa Abai. So Abai, Bishlam Rabbi Huda Hainu Diksiv Kohen. So it's like Rabbi Huda requires that one of the 3 people that are on the base for redemption of Hekdesh be a Kohen. So why is that? Because it says Kohen once in the section. It says Kohen in the parasha. El Rabbanan Kohen Lamalu. But I also say the Rabbanan who say that you just need a basin of 3 and one of them need not be a Kohen. What does he do with the mention of Kohen in the parasha? To which the Gemara says Kasha. You know what? That is a good question. Good. HaKarko is Tishav HaKohen. So let's say for redemption of karka. In other words, if you have karka that belongs to the Beis Hamikdash and a person wants to redeem it, that requires a beis din of 10, 9 of whom could be Yisraelim, but one of whom must be a Kohen. To which the Gemara says, where do we know this from? Amar Shmuel, Asara Kohanim Ksuvim B'Parasha. So Shmuel said, I will say, it says the word Kohen 10 times. We actually just had this on Amud Beis before. It says the word Kohen 10 times. Chad l'gufei. So one is necessary ultimately again to teach us Deikar Halacha. Hanach have miyot achar miyot. So we'll say the rest of them are what's called the miyot achar miyot. So we'll say one of them teaches me that of this group of 10, one must be a Kohen. What do the other mentions? What do the other 9 teach me? So we'll say that's what's called the miyot achar miyot. In other words, when the Torah goes ahead, one of the exegetical principles is that when the Torah goes ahead and repeatedly mentions an exclusionary word or phrase, that's called a miyot achar miyot, or not exclusionary, I'll call it a limiting word or phrase. So the miyot achar miyot el l'rabos. So we'll say that the way the principle works is when you have multiple repetitive limiting or phrases. So ultimately, again, a miyot achar miyot, repeated limiting words or phrases, create an expanded principle. What does that mean? Teaches me that halacha l'maisa, although I need 10 mentions of a Kohen tells me that I need 10 people for the redemption of property from Hekdesh, but the repeated mentioning of Kohen tells me that I only need 1 Kohen and the other 9 could be Yisraelim. Maskif l'rafun read Rav Nasan, so read Rav Nasan raised the kasha. So ema chamisha kana v'chamisha Yisraelim. Maybe it means 5 Kohen and 5 Yisraelim. In other words, how do you know that it means 9 and 1? Maybe it means 5 and 5. To which the Gemara says, you're right, kasha. We'll say, we're going to come back and discuss that. Va'adam kiyotze bahen. So we'll say, remember again, the next phrase in the Mishnah was Adam kiyotze bahen. So Adam kiyotze bahen, sure what that statement means. Now we'll say what it sounds like is that if a person wants to redeem himself from Hekdesh, he also requires a beis din of 10, 9 of whom are Yisraelim. Good morning, Mr. Shofo. Yisraelim, and one of whom is a Kohen. That's what it sounds like is happening here. To which the Gemara says, Adam mi kadosh. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. Could a person become kadosh, or could a person become consecrated? To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Abau ba'omer dmei alai. But we're talking about a case over here where a person says, I hereby pledge my value. Now, we'll say, let's be clear. This is different than an erech vow. Here's a good opportunity for us to take a step back and analyze this. There are 2 different ways that a person pledges his value to the Beis Hamikdash. A person could say er ki alai. If a person makes an erech vow, those are objective categories of value as established by the Torah. Shibboleth Shalom says, a man these ages is worth X, a woman these ages is worth Y. Nothing to do with my personal situation, simple objective categories. That's an erech vow. Person could say, Dmei alai. If I say Dmei alai, my value is available, then I'll say, then what do we look like? What do we look at? We look at essentially what a person could fetch on the slave market. If I were to be sold as an eved, so how much could I be sold for? And that amount of money ultimately is the amount of money that I pledged to the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara says over here, what does it mean that an Adam also is redeemed by 10? Adam mikadosh. But we'll see Adam mikadosh, could a person become consecrated? What's the case? Is where I said, I hereby pledge my value to the Beis Hamikdash. The Sanya, Haomer Dmei Alai, Shaman also Kevran Nimcha B'Shuk. So we'll say if somebody says, I hereby pledge my value to the Beis HaMikdash, we evaluate him like a servant who is being sold on the open market. The Evet iskish l'karkos. And we know that an Evet is compared to karka. And therefore we'll say, therefore what? The same way that karka requires 10 for valuation purposes, so too if an Adam pledges his value to the Beis HaMikdash, that requires 10 for valuation purposes. By Rabbi Abin, so Rabbi Abin said, Se'ar ha'omi ligzos b'kama. So we'll say, what happens if a person goes ahead? Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Se'ar, it's almost right across in Rashi. Se'ar, a few lines up. Se'ar ha'omi ligzos v'kedisho. So we'll say, what's the case? I have long hair. My hair is ready to be cut. And what happens? I makdish my hair. Ubalif doso bishavyav sha'osin miser adam nafa v'gokali v'chavat. So what happens? I want to now redeem my hair from the Beis HaMikdash. I want to redeem my hair. So the question is now, the boss says, we're talking about now hair that's ready to be cut. So what is the process for redemption? What is the process for redeeming that hair? So the Gemara says, on one hand, do we say kigazus dami b'shlosha? So do we say that since the hair is ready to be cut, we treat it as if what? It is cut. Therefore, again, it's considered like metaltalin. Metaltalin requires a beis din of 3 for valuation purposes. Oh, kimachuber dami. Or do we say no? That hair is attached to my head, right? People are considered like karko, and therefore, again, what? And therefore, what? You should require a beis din of 10. So we'll say, so says the Gemara, Tashma. Hamakdish es avdo. If a person is makdish, his slave, ain mo'alim bo. Rabbi said there is no me'ila when it comes to. So even if I'm makdish my slave, so if I then use him for my own mundane purposes, there is no me'ila. Why not? Look at Rashi, almost right across, just a few lines up. In mo'alim bo, the eved haryu kikarka, ve'in me'ila b'karka. Because Rabbi says that's what we said before. An eved is like karka, and there is no din of me'ila by karka. Shmuel says mo'alim bisaro. Shmuel says you can commit me'ilah with the hair of the Eved. If I use the hair for some type of purpose, so then again I have committed me'ilah. The Kaimalon, and we say what's the case over here? The Besara ha'omed ligzos pligi. That ultimately, we're talking about hair that is ready to be cut. Neima shmamina. So the Gemara says, therefore, what do you see from here? You see from here that indeed halacha lemaisa. There's a machlokis about the status of hair that is ready to be cut. And also, you should understand, this is not just a machlokis about hair. We've seen this many times about what you do with something that is currently attached, but is in a state where it can easily be detached. Or again, it's homemade. Do we look at its current state right now? It's attached, or do we see that since it has the ability to be detached, we look at it as a detached, movable item? So we've seen the machlokis many times. Here, the Gemara is asking in terms of hair. So the Gemara says, "Shmamina nema hani tanoi." So we'll say it would appear that this machlokis is tanam over here. So again, on one hand, what you have is you have machlokes who are going to identify as Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Is there me'ilah? So everybody will agree if you're makdish your eved, there's no me'ilah with the guf of the eved. Why is there no me'ilah with the guf of the eved? Because it eved's like karka. There's no me'ilah by karka. Is there me'ilah with the se'ar, with the hair of the eved? And specifically talking about hair that is ready to be cut. Rabbi Meir Tanakama says no. Say no. And Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says yes. So the Gemara says, Nema hani tarai. This machlokis is just like the five machlokis. This nine. Rabbi Meir, I'm sorry, it's the Rabban Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. This nine. Rabbi Meir says, Yesh Devar B'Shein Kikarka, Ve'inan Kikarka. So Rabbi Meir says that there are certain things that are like karka, i.e., they're mechuber, they're attached to the ground, but Einan Kikarka. But yet they're actually halachically treated like metaltalin. Ve'in Chachamim Modin. But the Chachamim do not agree with Rabbi Meir. So we'll say, what's the case? Ketzad. Eser Gifanim Tunos Masati the Chol. We'll say this is actually talking about a case of Modim and Miktsas. Modim and Miktsas, remember again, is the case where I make a claim against Ruvain. Say, Ruvain, you owe me $1,000. Ruvain says, I only owe you $500. So remember again, that generates what we call the Shvuas Modim and Miktsas. He has to take a Shvua ultimately again. So he obviously has to pay the $500 that he admits, but he has to take a Shvua on the remaining $500. So watch this. I say, Ruvain, I gave you 10 laden vines. And Ruvain says, no, you only give me 5. So Meir says ultimately again that Ruvain is going to be chayev a shvuas motiv mitzvahs. The Chachamim say no, Chum say no, there is no shua of motive mix. That's why I both say, because anything that is attached to the ground is like ground. And remember again, we don't take shavuos on karka, on real property. And Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina says, what's the machlokes? So we're talking about grapes to be harvested. So the Gemara says, Mar Savar Kibitzuros Damion. One opinion says that it's as if they have already been harvested. Well said, that would be Rabbi Meir. Therefore, Rabbi Meir says because they can be harvested, it's as if they are harvested. Therefore, again, this is a din in metaltalin, not a din in karka, and therefore there is a shvuas motive of mixas. Umar saralav kibitzuras damion, and the chachamim say no. The chachamim say that even though they're ready to be detached, as long as they are actually attached, they are given the status of karka, and therefore no shvua. To which the Gemara is suggesting that the machlokes of Meir and the chachamim is the same machlokes as the Rabbanon Shimon Gamliel, to which the Gemara says, "Lo, I feel it. Rabbi Meir, even Rabbi Meir would agree in our case. Atkan, in the case of the hair, Atkan, lo kam Rabbi Meir Hasam, kol kama deshakulu michash kachshis." You will say Rabbi Meir holds in the case of grapes that once the grapes are ready to be harvested, it's as if they are harvested and detached. Why does he hold that in that case, Rabbi say? Because when it comes to grapes, once they're ready to be harvested, if you leave them on the vine for longer, it's detrimental to the grapes. Therefore, again, Meir says that once they're ready to be harvested, it's as if they are already harvested. Aval saro kol kama deshafkalu ashbuche mishpach. But also, when it comes to hair, the longer you leave it on, as long as you leave it on, the hair is not adversely impacted. So, because that, even Rabbi Meir, who says that grapes that are ready to be harvested are as if they're harvested, they're metaltal, not karka, would agree by hair that halacha l'maisa, again, as long as it's attached, it's attached. And they both say that is indeed how we paskin by hair. That we paskin by hair that as long as it's attached to the body, it is considered to be mechuber, so to speak, considered to be mechuber. And even though it is technically ready to be detached, it's considered as if it's attached. So just the halacha l'maisa ramifications of that, I will say, would be that if you were makdish your eved and you used his hair for your own mundane purposes, whatever that might be, you are not chayiv in any kind of milah. Says the Gemara, dinei nefashos. So we'll say now we get into some of the more intricate cases over here. Dinei nefashos. So we'll say capital cases. So capital cases, the Mishnah says, are adjudicated with a basin of 23. So says the Gemara. So remember again. The Mishnah then went on to discuss a variety of different capital-like cases. Harova v'hanirva. So also remember again whether one had relations with an animal or one was violated by the animal. So we'll say all of those cases are 23. 23 remember what they did. So kapasik letanis. Remember again the Mishnah goes in groups everything together. Loshna rovea zachar, v'loshna rovea nekeva. So let's remember again, the Mishnah kind of groups all of the cases of bestiality together. It doesn't make a difference at the end of the day whether the person engaging in bestiality is a man or whether the person engaging in bestiality is a woman. That is deemed a capital case. Bestiality is a capital offense, and therefore it is judged by a basin of 23. Bishlama rovea nekeva dichsevarakta saisha. So I understand ultimately again. If it's a woman engaging in relations with the animal, so we'll say the pasuk says, the explicit pasuk that says that if a woman has relations with an animal, ultimately again you will kill the woman and the animal. But we'll say, how do we know that if a man is involved in bestiality, ultimately again he is put to death? Both say the pasuk says anyone who has relations with an animal shall be put to death. So remember again, there are two ways in which a man can engage in active bestiality. Either he could have relations with the animal, or the animal could have relations with him. So the Gemara says, when it says kol shochev in behema mos yumas, so we'll say I already know that a man who is the active party, we'll call it, in the act of bestiality is going to be put to death. Therefore, this additional pasuk comes to teach me that if he is the receiving party, if he is the passive party in the act of bestiality, then Lamaisian is also put to death. Therefore, I will say the Torah is coming to equate the two parties, right? Whether the animal is the active party or the passive party in the act of bestiality, Both times, the perpetrator and the animal are put to death. So we'll say, so bottom line, however this act of bestiality is taking place, whether the man is the active party or the passive party, again, it's going to be deemed as a capital case, and therefore must be adjudicated by a Beis Din of 23. Shar Niskal be'esrim shlosha. We'll say similarly again, Shar Niskal. Remember again, what's the case of Shar Niskal? This is a case of a shar that killed someone. So the case of Shar Niskal is done with 20, Beis Din also of 23. So the Gemara says, Shneimar, Hashar Yisakel, V'gam ba'alav yumas. Because we'll say the pasuk says, remember again, this is after already a shar killed someone. Shar is a mu'ar, a shar killed someone. So that shar is judged by a Beis Din of 23. Now we'll say, how do we know that? Because the pasuk says the shar will be stoned and its owners will die as well. Now we'll say, now we know that the owner is not actually killed, right? Again, if a person's animal kills someone else, the owner has a financial liability, but is not killed. So what does it mean when it says "V'gam ba'alav you must"? So the Gemara Darshans is coming to teach me kemisas habaylim kach misas hashar. The same way that the owner would have been killed had he been liable to a death penalty, i.e., a Beis Din of 23. This is also the misa. This is also the death of the shar. Amalei Rabbi Rava. So Rabbi says to Rava, "Mimai dahai v'gam ba'alav you must the chemisas baylim." How do you know about that phrase? The V'gam ba'alav yumas comes to teach me that a shar is put to death in the same way that the owner would have been put to death. But of course, he's not really put to death. The owner is not actually put to death. But if the owner were to be put to death, he would be put to death. Excuse me. If the owner were to be put to death, the shar is put to death in that same way, i.e., a Beis Din of 23. To which the Gemara will say, "Ema liktelu da'asa." Maybe the pasuk is actually coming to teach me what? It's actually coming to teach me that I will say, if my shar kills someone, I am liable to death. Maybe that's what the lesson of the pasuk is, that the owner is chayiv nisa in the event that his shar kills someone. Im kain, the Gemara says, lichtov gam ba'alov v'lishtok. Therefore, Tarak Dosh wanted to teach me that if my animal kills someone, I am chayiv a death penalty as well. The pasuk could have just said the gam ba'alov, also the owner. Right, also the owner. You don't need what? You must. You don't need that last you must there. Ikas Rachmana Haki. If Gemara says no, that wouldn't work, and I'll tell you why. Because if the pasuk just said like this, Hava mina beskila, I would have then thought that the same way that the animal is killed with skila, so too the owner is killed with skila as well. To which the Gemara says, skila sakadaitcha. Now, how can you say about it? Just so you understand, we're going to spend a significant amount of time on this. But the Gemara Second Sanhedrin is going to discuss based on the 4 different types of death penalties. And the death penalties, again, I will say some, you say to yourself, the death penalty is a death penalty. It's not true. Some are more severe and some are more, quote unquote, lenient. Obviously, the result is the same. But lamaisa, again, how death is administered. So I will say skila, for example, is considered to be one of the most severe forms. So the Gemara says, skila. You have a havaming that the owner will be put to death with skila. So we'll say, if a person himself, let's say a person, Reuven, actually kills someone, the halacha is he's put to death with the saif, with the sword. Mamono, skila. If his money kills someone, in other words, if a shar kills someone, we're going to give him the more severe death penalty of skila. It doesn't make sense. The dilmahai, because of rachmana yumas, the Torah adds in the word yumas, gam ba'alav yumas, la kule iluya, la fuke misayef lechenik. Maybe I will say it's actually coming to Yimeko on him and say that what? He doesn't get the misa of sayef, rather he gets the misa of chenek, of strangulation. So we'll say that makes sense. It says that chenek is more chamer than sayef. Chenek kill Michael Meimar. We'll say according to the one who says that chenek is a lesser form of misa. Then what is there to say? To which the Gemara says, Lo sakadayt chod dichsiv in kofer yushas ala. We'll say the pasuk says that if a pen or a kofer, we'll say so kofer literally means like a redemption payment. For redemption payment, an atonement payment. An atonement will be put upon the owner. If you want to think that the owner himself is liable to a death penalty, the pasuk says, the pasuk says that also you can never take a payment in lieu of someone's liability to a death penalty. Adraba mishum hi gufa katal ihulo tiski b'mamona ella biktala. So we'll say, but again, doesn't make any sense. if that means if ultimately again he were to kill himself, if he himself were to kill someone, you cannot extract a monetary payment ultimately again to establish atonement. So the Gemara says, Tiskile b'mamona ela biktala katal shoro lifrok nashe mamona. So we'll say, but again, rather, it could be that if his shore kills, then enachinami, it would be enough for the owner to give a financial payment, and that would be enough to redeem the owner. Ela amar Chizkiah. Therefore, Chizkiah says, v'cheintana de Chizkiah amar kra mos yumas hamakeh rotzeachu. So we'll say, therefore, again, the pasuk says, mos yumas hamakeh. When a person kills someone else, that is when he is put to death. Why? Because he's rotzeach. Al ritzichaso ata hargo. We'll say when someone commits an act of bloodshed, you can kill him for that. Viata hargo al ritzichas shoro. But I will say you can't kill someone ultimately again for the ritzicha, for the act of murder committed by his ox. So we'll say, so again, so just to understand what's happening here. So the Gemara therefore dashes. Let's go back for just a moment. This is actually a very important drasha. I can be liable for things that my animal does, but I can never be put to death for something that my animal does. If my animal kills someone, I can't be put to death for that. Why? Because the pasuk explicitly says, "Mos yumas hamakeh rotzeachu." Only if you become a murderer, ultimately again, can you be put to death. Therefore, I will say. So why is this important? Let's go back now, because when the pasuk therefore says, "Shor yisakel," the gam ba'alov yumas. Therefore, when the pasuk says that the ox will be stoned and its owner will be put to death, gam ba'alov yumas. So we understand to mean what? Not that the owner is going to be killed, but rather, what does it mean? It means that the shar is adjudicated by the same type of beis din that would adjudicate a capital case for the owner. Just like you'd have a beis din of 23, which would adjudicate the capital case for the owner, so too you would go ahead and use a capital case. You would use a beis din of 23 to adjudicate a case for the shar as well. It says the Gemara, let's go back. Shar Sinai Bekama. This is actually an interesting case. What happens? The halacha is, Rashi says, Shor Sinai, let's say, remember when the Torah was given, so there was halacha of Hagbala. The halacha was that no one was permitted to come into a certain proximity of the mountain. And if you did, you'd be put to death. What happens if a shar breached the barrier? Sinai. So the shar was going to be put to death. So how many people would you need for that beis din? So the Gemara says, which is a strange question, but me gamar sha'ame doros olo. They both say, would we go ahead and extrapolate the law for that moment from the law that would be in effect for future generations, olo, or not? In other words, do we say that since in future generations a shar, if it's going to be killed, is adjudicated by a beis din of 23, so even by Har Sinai, it's dealt with by a beis din of 23 or not? So the Gemara says, Tashma the Torah of Cheskel im lo yichya. The pasuk says explicitly, whether it's a behema, whether it's an ish, if you breach the barrier of Har Sinai, lo yichya. Ma ish b'chav gimel, af behema b'chav gimel. Ultimately, just as a person would be judged by a beis din of 23, so to a shor would be judged by a beis din of 23 as well. So both like, why exactly the Gemara is asking this question regarding Har Sinai is a little bit of a discussion, but not for our purposes today. Hari v'azeh. So let's remember again. Next case was the Ari and the Ze'ev. If a person goes in, I will say this is another interesting part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah speaks about all of these animals. Ha'ari ha'ze'ev, ha'ari ha'dov, ha'namar v'abardlutz, v'ha'nachosh, v'sasim b'esr shlosha. We'll say if you have a wolf, a lion, a bear, bardlutz, which we'll define what that means, nachash, a snake, they are put to death with a beis din of 23. Rabbi Eliezer says that whoever kills them, zacha. Right? If you kill them, apparently even without being adjudicated, without a din Torah, zacha. It's a good thing. And Rabbi Akiva says that their death is 23. We'll discuss again Rabbi Akiva and Tanakama in just a moment. Says the Gemara, Amreish Lakish. So what's the case of where you're putting to death any of these animals? So Amreish Lakish, V'hu shemiso. This is talking about where one of these animals killed someone. Avalohe misolo. But if one of these animals are both, even though again when you look at these animals, they appear at first glance to be what? Dangerous types of animals. If they did not actively kill someone, so we do not go ahead and we do not execute them. Alma kasar. So what do you see from here? Rish Lakish holds yeshlen tarbus. These animals can be domesticated, right? Literally means they could be refined. Rashi says yeshlen tarbus mutar legadla. You are permitted to have one of these animals as a pet. A Apparently, again, you could teach your bear not to kill someone, right? You could teach your snake. We'll discuss, right? You could teach your wolf. You could teach your wolf not to kill someone. Hilchach shem bailim nikrale, and therefore I will say they are owned. They could be owned by people. V'lo havi kehefker. Therefore, they're not ownerless. Because you're not ownerless, you can't just kill them. Avalim misu, imlohi misu. So we'll say, so Rish Lakish is like this. If you have one of these animals that killed someone, you are permitted to kill it without any official din Torah. If, however, the animal did not kill someone, then Lamaisi, you can't kill it because these animals are capable of being domesticated. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Afa Pishalo Himiso. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, we'll say any one of these animals, the Ze'ev, the Namer, the Bar, any of these animals, these are non-domesticatable animals. And therefore, again, they did not kill someone, you could still kill the animal. Alma kasavar, ein lehem tarbus ve'ein lehem bailim. So we'll say Rabbi Yochanan holds, they can't be domesticated. Therefore, again, they have no real owners. Because they have no real owners, therefore what? They're hefker. Because they're hefker, what? I can kill the animal. I can kill the animal. So the Gemara says, Tanan, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, kalakodim lahargan zacha. Rabbi Eliezer says in the Mishnah that regarding this list of animals, whoever kills them, zacha. We'll say it's a good zacha means sounds like shkoyach. Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan lemay zacha laoran. So what's the current Rabbi Yochanan? It means zacha. Zacha means that you could keep the hide of the animal after you kill it. But according to Rish Lakish, what does it mean, zacha? That you literally both say zacha means, literal translated means you acquired, you were zocha in something. Keven shemisu shavinu rabbanan kimam de gamardinayu. Because also remember, according to Rish Lakish, the only time you can kill one of these animals is if this animal first killed someone else. If the animal first killed someone else, now you're killing the animal. That's as if the animal has been judged by a Beis Din. We'll say any animal that is killed by Beis Din ultimately again becomes aser bahano. Kiman de gamardinayu vasirin hananinu. So my zacha, to which the Gemara says you're right. What does zacha mean? Zacha l'shamayim. Zacha also means that you get a shkoyach from the Ribono Shel Olam. That at the end of the day, Rashi says, Zacha l'shamayim tzedakah asa. That it's considered to be like you did something good. Why? Because you removed some type of significant obstacle, ultimately again from it. So we'll say, this isn't going to be a popular Gemara with Pita, but you understand what the Gemara is saying over here. And also, there's an incredible yisod. What the Gemara is saying over here is that people sometimes think that there are certain animalistic tendencies that you could condition out of an animal. What Rish Lakish at the end of what Rabbi Yochanan, the machlokes in Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan is really how much can you condition the behavior of an animal. So Rish Lakish says, you can condition an animal. You could domesticate even wild animals. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, you can't. No, you can't. So I'll say this fundamental machlokes comes down to, so what if you see one of these animals? Can you actively kill it or not? Rish Lakish will say, no, you can't kill it unless, of course, you've seen it demonstrate aggressive types behaviors. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, you do not have to wait to see it demonstrate any kind of aggressive behaviors because you know that it's an aggressive animal. Therefore, you're permitted to be proactive in killing the animal and proactively eliminating the threat. Tanya Kavah says Rish Lakish. So once you have a brayso that supports Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish, so let's remember again, Rish Lakish is the one who says, so you could only kill one of these animals after you've seen it or after you know already that it has demonstrated aggressive behavior and killed someone else. So we'll say ultimately again, whether you have a shor that killed someone or you have any behema and chaya who killed someone, we'll say that animal is judged by a Beis Din ultimately of 23. So what do you see? The wise Bryce is for Rish Lakish. Because we'll say the Bryce explicitly says that what? That in order to go ahead and put the animal to death, what do you need? The animal must have killed already. So you see, according to Rish Lakish, they only license to execute the animals when the animal has already demonstrated aggressive behavior. It's already killed someone. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Shor Shemes Be'esrim Shlosha, Ushar Behema V'chaya Shemiso Kala Kodim Lahargan Zacha Bahen. Rabbi Eliezer says no. The only animal that is adjudicated ultimately again by a basin of 23 is a shor. is a shar. It will say all of these other animals in the Mishnah, however, even if they have not actively killed someone, you could still go ahead and execute them. You could kill them proactively, and if you do so, zacha l'shar, you get a shkaya from HaKadosh Baruch Hu from proactively eliminating the threat. Rabbi Akiva says that. So remember again, Lashon in the Mishnah will say Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish about the ability to go ahead and proactively kill one of these dangerous types of animals. Reish Lakish says you cannot do it until the animal has actively done something wrong. Rabbi Yochanan, meaning he doesn't kill someone. Rabbi Yochanan says no, these are wild animals, can't be domesticated, and therefore you can proactively kill them already. You should know. Well, okay, we'll see how we pass it. So remember, then the Mishnah quoted Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva had a strange thing. Rabbi Akiva just said, "Misasan be'esrim shlosha," that the animal has to be executed by a basin of 23. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Akiva hainu Tanakama. I don't understand Rabbi Akiva saying the same thing as the Tanakama. Ikevinar Rabbi says, "Rabbi Akiva and Tanakama is nachash, is a snake." Rabbi said, "Look at Rashi just a moment. It's like the fourth short line before Rashi gets wide." Ikevinar nachash. The Tanakama chashiv le bahadei hanach. Rabbi said Tanakama puts the snake in the same category as the other animals, as the wolf, as the bear, as the leopard, uboichav gimel. Therefore, according to the Tanakama, before you kill a snake, you would also require a basin of 23. Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi said, just to understand, when we sit here, so a basin of 23. So understand, if I'm the owner of that snake, and that is my prized boa constrictor. I've raised it since the time, I was 3, and it's a rare species. So, it's worth $250,000. So we'll say, understand, like these are serious cases. These can be cases with significant financial loss. So the Gemara is saying over here, you need a basin of 23. So listen to this. Rabbi Akiva, be'inach svirlu kavase, kedarminu ba'arva avos nezikin, nochash muad li'olam divreka. So I'll say, the Gemara says, Rabbi Akiva agrees to Tanakama in all of the cases except the snake. The Tanakama holds that even in the case of a snake, you're going to require a basin of 23, whereas Rabbi Akiva will say that when it comes to a snake is more the olam. A snake is considered to be an actively dangerous animal, even before it's harmed anyone. Therefore, it can be killed even before it's killed someone else, and obviously does not require a basin of 23. That'll be the Nakudas Amachlokes ultimately between Rabbi Akiva and the Tanakama. All right, so we'll stop over here for today. Just the schedule tomorrow, Tisha B'Av. The shir will be tomorrow night after the fast. We're going to begin at 9:50, 10 minutes to 10. In Meretz Hashem, 9:50 will be the shir, and then Wednesday morning in Meretz Hashem is back to regular schedule.